go.
Listening to the Sports Nuts.
And good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Sports Corner Show. My name is Ralph Williams. I'm your host. Yes, my name is Ralph Williams. I am the host of Sports Corner Show. Yeah, what do you want to talk about? And I tell you, let me talk to you. We got a lot to talk about today. I have a couple special guests with me today, as well as my co-host Smokin Jim Frazier by phone. We're on the Sports Nuts Network on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter X. And we're also simulcasted on the following radio stations across the country. 95.5 KFCE in Terrell, Texas. We're on the TigerNation.com radio network, Texas. Oklahoma, Missouri, 93.3 KJR in Seattle. And we're also on the Hawaii Sports Network. I want to say aloha to all my friends, our friends, on the Hawaii Sports Network, 107.5 The Ticket in Montgomery, Alabama. We're also live on AM 610 in Albuquerque, New Mexico, 105.5 FM. We are now on the river in Easley, South Carolina, and WGR 550 AM up in Buffalo, New York. And also we are in several countries, including Australia, China, Africa, all across the world. We are in several countries, 12 different countries all across the world. We are also live and broadcasting here for the Sports Corner Show. All right, before we get started, let's get some bills paid here. We're in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studios, Western Pennsylvania's #1 heating and air conditioning company. Call them today, 724-201-0500. Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. We're in Studio 10 here in Berlin, Maryland. All right. And then also we're sponsored by Mike Dotson Realty, Ocean City, Maryland, 410-596-1681. Mike Dotson Realty, Ocean City, Maryland. Call Mike today for your short-term rentals, or if you're interested in buying any kind of property in real estate, Mike's the guy, 410-596-1681, Mike Dotson Realty. All right. Guys, welcome to the program. Smokin Jim, welcome to the show. How are you today, Smokin Jim?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm ready for this one, Ralph. We got some good guests today.
Yes, we do. With us today, we have Pittsburgh Now sports columnist Mike ASTI, who covers the Steelers and West Virginia University athletics. And at the bottom of the screen here, we have the return of Leo Haggerty. Leo is from Amped Up Sports and covers the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the USFL football team. And we got a lot to talk about, guys. National championship game, Mike Tomlin stepping down, and the Steelers football search Tampa Bay Buccaneers today hired Danny Smith, Steelers' former special teams coordinator. Todd Bowles reaching out and hiring Danny Smith. So we got a lot to talk about today on all fronts here. First, Mike, introduce yourself and how are you today?
Sure. Yeah, happy to be here. And yeah, a lot's been going on, to say the least. As you mentioned, with the Pittsburgh Sports Now umbrella, do run the West Virginia Sports Now site. Also a national writer with Yardbarker, host a couple of shows of my own, Mic Drop with Believe, available everywhere you get your podcast, the Howard Stern Buzzsaw Show, involved with Sirius XM and a myriad of other ventures as well. And you can find me at Mike Osti 11 on social media. So able to talk about whatever you want here for sure.
All right, Leo Haggerty from Amped Up Sports. Welcome back, Leo.
I can't talk about anything. I'm terrible. Let's be honest. But to all our folks in Australia, good day, mate. And to all
there
our
you
folks
go.
down here in
That's it.
the sunny South, which was a little chilly this morning.
I'm
but,
jealous, by the way.
Hey, by the way, and you people up in Buffalo, grab your ankles. You got it again. What
Yes.
another terrible call. And I know we're going to talk about that, guys. So let's move on.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. First, we got to go to we're going to go to the comment section. We have Steven here. Thank you from the south side of Pittsburgh, the south side. Thank you, Steve, for participating in the show today. We also have Adrenaline Flow saying hello. Hello, Adrenaline Flow. And all right, there we are with that. Let's see what we got here. We got some other folks saying hello. Yep, there we go. You Fudge says hello. What is this all about? It's about sports. That's what it's about. It's called Sports Corner. There we go.
Find out.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Lady the Doggle says hello. Hello to you as well. Thank you for all who are tuning in here all across the United States and around the world. Here we are. Yes, we are talking about football today, Formula Goddess. Thank you. All right. Let's get started here, guys. I don't know where to start because we got so much to talk about. First, the national championship game last night, Indiana. I said Indiana was going to win. I predicted it. You can ask Smokin. Jim Frazier is my witness. I said Indiana was going to win this game. We'll start with you, Leo. Your thoughts on this game last night?
You know what, guys? I got a better one, Ralph. If you remember on your show in August, I picked Penn State, wrong there, but I picked Miami to be in it. So in August, I had the Hurricanes in there. And you know what? My heart was with Indiana. My head was kind of in Coral Gables. But if people don't realize the value of special teams after that game,
Yeah.
there were two plays that changed the entire complexion of the game. The block punt, and I have no idea why college coaches and pro coaches, well, pro coaches don't use it, but why college coaches use a daggone rugby punt. All you're doing is running into a block. And the second thing, I felt sorry for the kicker when he doinked it. And everybody's saying, well, he doinked it. When you get past 40 yards, if that puppy ain't down the middle, it's going to move. Yeah. And it's going to move right or left. And you know what? My wife, Barb, she had a great line. She said, if you hit the post, you should get 4 points. I agree with that.
I've heard that from people. Yeah, it's hard to do. Couldn't
have
tried.
But you know what? It was a great game, and both teams. Everybody was talking about how Indiana's going to blow them out. I said, "Oh no, you have no idea how big Miami is in the trenches." And that was a war. It was hand-to-hand combat. Yeah. Great football game.
All right, we got breaking news. Bill Callahan has been hired as offensive line coach with the Atlanta Falcons. Bill Callahan. That's a good hire. I like that hire. Bill Callahan is a very good offensive line coach. So we'll see what happens there as Kevin Stefanski's putting his new staff together down in Atlanta. So, all right, my friend Brandon Keeler is down there in Atlanta. He covers the Atlanta Falcons. Mike Asti, your thoughts on last night's game?
Yeah, and I also add, I do like the Stefanski hire for the Falcons. It didn't work with the Browns, but he had a lot of quarterbacks. 11 of the 13 really weren't that great. I mean, Flacco was already established, and then you can say what you want about Shador and Baker Mayfield at the beginning was obviously a good quarterback, but I don't know if he got really a shot in Cleveland. So it's a solid roster, a good hire for the Falcons. And honestly, going in, I thought Indiana would win. I did think it would be closer than what they've experienced throughout the playoff. I mean, that was their first close game throughout the entire playoff. They were blowing everybody out. And they were 7.5-point favorite going into the game. I thought Miami would put up a fight. I thought Miami would be a team that maybe could beat them, maybe could surprise some, even though I did think Indiana would eventually end up with the victory. And as you said there, Leo, I mean,
and my fingers crossed.
Miami really probably should have won. They put up one of the better defensive performances against Indiana all year. If you take away the special teams blunder, if you take away the field goal, and if you take away the fact that Carson Beck couldn't move the ball for most of the first half, Miami would have won the game.
Yes,
that was not the best of Indiana that we've seen. That was a lesser version.
And there was some penalties there, Mike. They beat themselves a little bit too, Miami. They beat themselves a little bit.
They did, and Indiana actually had some
I saw Cristobal throw that headset down after that. What was it, a delay a game or something? He was just like so mad. He didn't know what to do.
Well, I mean, the weird part about that is they basically were in a road game. It was in Miami. Indiana has the largest alumni base in the country, so they brought the heat, they brought the crowd noise, and they got Miami kind of out of sorts, as weird as that is. But Indiana also had some mental blunders towards the end. I mean, their offsides call made that game from a first down would have ended it to allowed Miami to have a chance there, even at the end, because of the time difference on the clock. And Cignetti kind of rolled his eyes that, like, this could lose the game for us. They had those mental mistakes they didn't do all year against Miami. But at the end of the day, Indiana has been the best team all year. 16-0. We haven't seen that since Yale in 1894, as insane as that was. And they were playing, high school players and, who knows? Like that wasn't the same schedule as today. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's not the same scenario there. Nobody was full-time at that point. And Indiana, they had a win over Oregon in the regular season. They won the Big Ten title. They beat everybody that you would imagine here throughout the playoff. Cignetti does this in 2 years, and they kind of have shown the example to any program in the country that if you didn't think you had a shot to win a national championship, now you do if you hire the right coach, if you invest a certain amount of money, because they certainly put money in that they didn't before, and that's very part of this.
Big time.
So you got to put the culture in. You got to get the players. You got to have the right coach. They have a Heisman quarterback that was thought of as nothing just a couple years ago and was not highly touted out of high school, and Miami didn't want him to connect the dots there. So you can do it. I mean, any program can do it. I guarantee you anyone out there that is saying that program X has no chance to win a national title in this era, whether it be Pitt, West Virginia, or whatever, anyone saying that now, they would have said that about Indiana 2 years ago. So it does give some hope to everybody that if you have the right coach, but you got to put the money in. I mean, you got to put the money in. They put money in. They spent. And Cignetti, it's an historic season, one of the greatest seasons of all time. You could argue the best at 16-0, and they're not going to slow down. You look at their future recruiting class; they could win again next year. They could win again next year. This could be a dynasty now with Cignetti in his 60s doing this.
Oh, absolutely.
Mark Cuban's checkbook.
Yeah, Mark Cuban's checkbook, right? Right. I mean, but that's very much a part of this. Mark Cuban opened up his checkbook. They had everyone else in their alumni base open up their checkbooks. They hired the right coach that always has won. They got the right players. He coached them up and elevated them. But let's not, be fools. If they didn't have the money, this wouldn't matter. They had to get the money. And Tom Allen, who was there before Cignetti, he didn't get this kind of money. Cignetti's a Hall of Fame coach. But he didn't get this kind of money.
Terry Hebner wasn't a bad coach there either. That was Ben Roethlisberger's coach at Miami of Ohio. He was pretty good in Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, but in all reality, I mean, for 130 plus years, Indiana, you could argue, was the worst program in college football history.
It was terrible.
They had the most losses of anybody when Cignetti got hired. Indiana was a basketball school and football was a joke. And then Cignetti walks in. This is incredible to do in 2 years, but you needed the money. It's a Disney movie, but a Disney movie funded by Mark Cuban and others. Like, you had to have the money or it would not matter. But now he's putting even more money into the future. So the money that they spent these past 2 years to get 2 CFPs, to get a Big Ten title and get a national title, they're now going to spend even more money. Their projected revenue and salary and NIL is more than what they had. They could keep on doing this.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Coming up too. I mean, they could
Yes.
keep this up.
Yeah, we're talking about a school that used to have basketball funding the football program. Now football
Right,
funds
right.
everything. But you know what, guys? Here's the best thing about that game last night. We can finally bury the myth that the SEC is the best conference in the country.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
it's been the
you
Big
can
Ten
bury
for
it.
years now.
That
Yeah.
ship has sailed.
Sailed,
Once
yes.
and you can
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
the people down here crying because now it's legal cheating. You guys
Yeah.
down here used to cheat, used to spend money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell
Give
you what,
kids money.
Alabama, you're right. Alabama
Madman.
didn't look good this year. Florida was terrible. Georgia, I told everybody, and nobody believed me. I said Georgia's in too many dog fights this year, and it's going to bite them in the butt when they get to the playoff, and it did. That happened, and then Alabama, just laid an egg. I mean,
Alabama waved the white flag at about
Yeah,
the beginning
exactly.
of the second quarter
Yes.
against Indiana. I mean,
Yes.
I mean,
when's
it's
the last
3
time
straight
you
national
seen-
titles for the Big
Yeah.
Ten. They certainly have they at least have the elite programs. I mean, the
Yeah.
debate would be, I guess, that the
Yes.
better programs are in the Big Ten, but maybe there's more depth in the SEC because they
Right.
do have 7-8 teams ranked every
Okay,
year. But the
Smokin,
middle of the SEC is not going to touch. The
Right.
overall elite teams are in the Big Ten, and that's been proven. Yeah, because now the money gets spread around. It used to be the bag man gives it all to the SEC schools, and now
Right.
it's spread around. But
Right.
there's also, I also will say that Miami is a great team, but outside of Miami, what we've also seen is it's still pretty evident that the Big Ten and the SEC are still clearly ahead of the ACC and Big 12. I mean,
Yes.
there is
Oh,
clearly
yeah,
a
they
difference
are.
there.
Yeah.
Miami is legit, though. Miami could get back, and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
legit. But outside of
Yeah.
them, the ACC is still very vulnerable. They lost to the Big 12 schools in pretty much all those bowl games. But, of course,
Yeah.
Miami was great. We'll
Yeah.
see if the Big 12 can produce a Miami-like team. But Miami is a little bit of an aberration to those two conferences. So we'll see if they get back there next year, if they can keep this up. But, yeah,
All right.
it's the SEC and Big Ten's world, and everyone else is living in it. And the Big Ten has owned it for 3 years in a
Okay.
row now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Smokin' Jim, your thoughts. Go ahead. I didn't forget about you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Everybody's input is on point. I thought Miami would upset Indiana for a few reasons. Number one, speed and intimidation, the size on the defensive line. I thought playing in front of all those former players and many of them in the Hall of Fame would inspire the people and playing at home. Didn't realize Indiana would take over the stadium in Miami.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I tell you what, it was a great national championship game. But I'm not too sure that the best team in college football this year wasn't Notre Dame.
Yeah. Notre Dame.
I can
Yeah.
tell you they weren't. No
They
doubt.
lost to Miami. They lost to
lost-
Miami. But, yeah.
See,
Yeah.
Notre Dame needs to figure out this isn't basketball. It's not winning at the end. It's your total record. You lose 2 games, you're out of the conversation. And I'll tell you what, guys, they need to fix this playoff system real quick. What happened to BYU was an abomination. I mean, they're 11-1. Guys, I'm going to throw this question out to you.
Go ahead.
I think in the next year or two, we're going to see schools maybe opt out of their conference playoff game just if they're like 11-1 or 10-2 because they can't afford a loss.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
That is a thing that will end up continuing to be a conversation. It didn't burn Bama, it burned BYU, but playing in your conference title game has become a negative because it gives you an opportunity for another loss. And the weird thing about BYU this year, and I guess the defense of Bama getting in and BYU not getting in is Bama did split with Georgia this year. They beat him earlier in the season, then they lost to him real bad. But BYU lost to Texas Tech twice. Now, BYU, as you're saying, maybe they would say to themselves in the future, well, we don't want to play them a second time. Like playing them a second time is not a benefit. They lost them twice and they didn't get in. BYU could have hung with anybody. Look at their size. I think Kalani Sitake is one of the most underrated coaches in the entire country, and they're building a great program. They may own the Big 12 for a while, but that's the issue is kind of what I was saying. The ACC and the Big 12, based on what we've seen for several years now, it's pretty much the champion, and that's it. Like if you're in the Big Ten or
Exactly.
you're in the SEC, you can get in without being the champion. Look at Bama this year. Look at Indiana 2 years ago when they didn't really have a quality win, and Cincinnati got him in anyway because they weren't the conference champ, but they got in as a third or fourth team in the conference.
Right.
They weren't even in the Big Ten title game. That can happen. That doesn't happen in the ACC and Big 12. It just does not. So you got to win the championship. But yeah, getting in there does make it harder. So we will see if in the future that they lock in the rankings for the CFP before the title games. And bringing up Notre Dame, they don't have a conference championship game. So here's the weird thing about them. It hurt them this year because they didn't get a chance to win more games.
Easy schedule too, Mike. I mean,
they have an easy schedule, but
a cupcake schedule.
Yeah, they didn't really have a quality win, but I guess the argument and kind of what Leo's saying is their two losses are against top 5 teams.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they lost to really great teams where other teams lost to not as good teams. But 2 years ago, when Notre Dame got in the playoff and then ended up in the national championship game, not having a championship game in their conference benefited them because they couldn't mess up the resume. So it works both ways. But we will see if that gets locked in before those title games.
Can I give you the quick fix on this? Real simple, and I hope the College Football Selection Committee is listening. You go to 16 teams. That's it. Lock it in.
I'm sure they're going to do that, yeah.
Yeah. And the 8 teams playing in the Power 4 championship games are in, no matter what. You got 8 teams in. Now you got 8 more to deal with. Fine. But you're not going to penalize a team for playing in their championship game.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, let's move on here. Basically, we're here today. As you know, last Tuesday, Mike Tomlin stepped down as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and there's a big coaching search going on with the Steelers right now. Rumor has it, and I'm hearing some stories, that Brian Flores is the favorite for this job. He's coming in for a second interview face-to-face. Anthony Weaver has also been in and out of the building on the south side, and a few other guys. I think they're waiting for Chris Shula to get done with the Rams. We're not sure how far the Rams are going to go. They may not have that luxury, guys, because if the Rams go to the Super Bowl, they got to get a coach in place before the Senior Bowl. They got to do something, so they can't have no coach for the Senior Bowl. Although, they're already saying that the Steelers may not have a coach in time for the Senior Bowl, but we will find out. Tom Pelissero is reporting that Mike McCarthy has turned down all interviews except for the Steelers. So there you go. It's looking like Mike McCarthy thinks or perhaps may get that job. Smokin' Jim Frazier called this. Smokin' Jim, we'll start with you. You called this. Mike McCarthy should be the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach for about 4 or 5 years and then bring in a younger guy. Go ahead, Smokin' Jim.
Yeah, I think what the Pittsburgh Steelers really need is a bridge coach.
Yeah, and that's Mike.
They have no assistant coaches on their staff that will be carried over. They're going to change the whole system. One thing about Mike McCarthy, he's an offensive guru. He knows how to build a staff, and he knows what a good quarterback looked like. He had 2 pretty good quarterbacks in Green Bay and Dallas. And I would give him an opportunity. And one thing, he'll bring in some coaches on his staff that when he steps away in 5 or 6 years, 4 or 5 years, they can promote somebody off the staff to be the future head coach.
Absolutely. Leo, your thoughts on the Steeler coaching search and Mike Tomlin stepping away?
2 words for Mike McCarthy, too old. Look at what the Steelers have done in the past.
Yes.
They've gone to assistant coaches, Chuck Noll, Bill Coward, Mike Tomlin, with no head coaching experience. They want a guy that they can groom.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see an offensive or a defensive coordinator. Now, Brian Flores, he may be a little bit of a hot topic because of what he did down in Miami. I mean, if you're an owner, you're going to have a come to Jesus with him and say, hey, look, what went down there? Did he actually tell you to tank games? Because you and I
that and Tua. He didn't want Tua, Leo. He didn't want Tua, and what happened was he fought with the front office over Tua, and that was the
and he
one.
won his first year. The first year he did win, and then he had the drama. So he did prove he can have a winning season as a head coach.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I mean, it's all about what happened with that tank for Tua stuff. And the funny thing was they had the wrong guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
The guy they needed
Yeah.
was the guy out in Oregon, who is now with
Yeah.
the Chargers. And you know what?
Yes.
Jim Harbaugh's doing pretty well with that, isn't he?
Yes,
Yeah.
he is. Yes, he is. Absolutely. All right. Let's talk about Mike Tomlin stepped down last Tuesday. There's a bunch of stuff going on. Mike ASTI's real close to this. What is the real reason why you believe Mike Tomlin stepped down? Now, I'm hearing family reasons. I'm hearing his family was being harassed. I was told that the protest in front of his house on Shady Avenue in Pittsburgh. I also was told that him and Art Rooney had a discussion, Art II, in regards to that if they lost a Houston game, that they were not going to give him the option year of his contract. Mike, which of these, or if any of these, apply to this?
All right. So yeah, there's a lot of rumors going on, and I'm, I can confirm. People are throwing out rumors of an affair and all of that stuff. People, yeah, it's going wild. It's going wild out there. I'm not.
Yeah.
None of that is anything that I can confirm right now. What I can say is I have heard for several years that Tomlin was kind of getting annoyed, maybe fed up was the word some have used, with the fan perception. I can tell you that I have heard for years that he has been a little frustrated and felt underappreciated. Now, Rondy Barber, who's very close to him, and obviously Leo knows very well, he's come out and publicly said that Tomlin told him before the year that he was going to step down regardless of the result and that he just wanted to move on. Rondy's certainly closer of him as a personal friend than I am just covering the team. But all the drama and the soap opera like stuff that's being reported, some of what you named there, a lot of that is exaggerated and none of that can be confirmed. What I can tell you is I've heard that he's been frustrated. I've heard that he feels underappreciated. Secondarily, this team has, lost 7 consecutive playoff games in terms of playoff games that they got in that they would lose. They not only did they lose 7 straight playoff games, but he's lost 5 straight playoff games in a blowout. That is an NFL record to lose 5 straight games in a blowout in the postseason. 7 straight playoff losses ties Marvin Lewis for a run of the record. His win percentage in the postseason is now 3rd worst. I wrote about all this on Yardbarker. So Tomlin's early career is likely going to send him to the Hall of Fame someday. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's 8 division titles. He did win the ring. Whether it's Cowards players or not, they still count.
The most regular season wins of any head coach. That kind of thing.
Right there with Noel in terms of that. Like
that's his legacy.
His legacy is, like it or not, his legacy is going to get him in the Hall of Fame someday. If you look at again, who Leo knows, you look at Dungy being there, you look at Cowher being there, you look at other coaches that are there. The resume is comparable. He's going to get in, even if he never coaches again. And I wouldn't be shocked if he certainly sits out this year, sits out this cycle. I don't buy into the Bills BS. I think he's going to sit out, maybe do TV, but I wouldn't be shocked if he just sits out for 1, 2, 3, 4 years and just unwinds and just ends
refocus,
the mental madness
refocus kind of thing.
Picks a better job. There will be teams interested in him. But I do think it just got to a point where it was better for himself, the franchise, and everybody to take a step away and part ways. They were never going to fire him. They just never were going to fire him. He did step down. They didn't, people also saying that he got fired. No, he stepped down. They weren't going to fire him. Already the second said that he would have gave him 1 more year. The fans would have got frustrated though, because the fans
I had heard
that
rumor, Mike, that he was that he was unhappy because they weren't going to give him that extra year, and him and Art Rooney had this discussion or something. There's all kinds of
could have been he could have been upset about that, but in terms of Art Rooney's standpoint, he was not going to get fired. He was not going to get fired. I didn't think so. We usually go into training camp for some disclosure too.
Right.
In recent years, we've even gone into training camp right before training camp before Tomlin would get that extension. So the fact that he didn't get it yet does not mean that it couldn't have been convinced in the next 9 months. We did that a couple years ago where he didn't get it at the end of the year and then he got it before training camp. So who knows? But they weren't going to fire him. He did step down. I know he's been annoyed for years. The resume is going to get in the Hall of Fame, but the last decade has not been nearly good enough. And some of those playoff losses were unacceptable losses. Yeah, they lost to some good teams in the Chiefs and Bills and Ravens, but 30-6 to Houston, and we just saw them get exposed the week after. That doesn't work. So Tomlin's been building this roster too. He's responsible for Pickett being there, and that didn't work. This is all on Tomlin, but also on the Rooney family, also on the GMs, the past one of Kevin Colbert and Omar Khan. We'll see where they go. I kind of also agree with Leo that it's going to be a younger coach. They're not going to hire a 62-year-old coach with Mike McCarthy. They want a younger coach. They don't want a bridge. They want a guy that's going to be there for 10 plus years. That's like what they had with Tomlin, Cowher, and Noel. They don't want to do this again. They don't like hiring coaches, even if maybe it would be a good idea. And they want to find the next Mike Tomlin, the next 30-something, early 40s coach that is a budding coordinator, a budding assistant. They want to get him and have him be there forever. Brian Flores, to me, is very similar to Tomlin. I think they're better off going to the offensive side of the ball. I doubt they'll do that. They'll probably do the Tomlin recipe and do a Shula, do a Brian Flores, do a defensive coordinator who's in his late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, I'm even hearing Jesse Minter. I'm hearing,
been brought up. Anthony Weaver. I can confirm a little bit of what you've said too. Anthony Weaver's been there for an interview in person. Shula, they do want to talk to, but they can only do it via Zoom because he's obviously still in the postseason. We'll see if that's an issue. Brian Flores, they've certainly interviewed in person. These are guys they've talked to. But by the way, as all of you know, the people they interviewed supposed
to be hired by Atlanta, and then they ended up hiring
someone they could be interested in. Kubiak too. I've heard his name, but back in 2007, the people they interviewed in person, the people on the staff, like Wisenhunt and Russ Grimm, everyone thought would get the job. None of that happened. The very last second, Tomlin got the interview and blew Rooney out of the water, and they ended up hiring him. So we don't know. They could pull a wild card out of the hat. We don't know. People thought those were crazy hires of Tomlin and Bill Cowher, and they both ended up leading to a championship.
Leo, I know.
I'll throw an even crazier one out.
Go ahead, Leo. Because I was going to ask you your opinion next. Go ahead.
Do you think Rooney picks up the phone and calls Signetti?
No,
well, he's old. I mean, you don't want to. He's old. He's older than McCarthy.
62-year-old man.
I know.
No,
he is,
I mean,
just for the PR, not to hire. Just for the PR.
Signetti did say the other day that he wants to stay in college. So if you believe that, as I also said, he has a runway to keep on winning at Indiana for years and years to come. He is an older man. I don't see it happening. If you want to pick up the phone for a courtesy or even just to learn from him, I honestly, guys, I think Mike McCarthy has 0% of a shot. I think this is a courtesy call to him. Yeah, because of his age. They want to hear from him. They want to. I have a call. Alan saw.
They want to pick his brain. They want to know what. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Alan said they want to pick his brain, which is smart. He's been a head coach. What would you do, Mike, and learn from it? He's not going to get the job. The same thing that he said about Signetti, but Signetti, just because he's having dominant success in college does not mean it would happen in the NFL. Nick Saban crashed and burned in the NFL. It doesn't mean it would work. And if Signetti was 10 years younger, Leo, or 20 years younger and just had this great turnaround in 2 years, 100%. He's too old. He's too old. It just wouldn't fit the Steelers thing.
Yeah.
I can remember interviews I've been in where about midway through the interview, I just asked the AD, like, you don't want to hire me. You want to find out what I know.
Yeah, that's
what you know. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. I always call it picking the brain. That's what I call it. So they want to pick his brain. They want to see what he's going to say. Smokin' Jim Frazier, go ahead. What's your thoughts? Mike Tomlin stepping down, and who do you think will be the next coach, or what's your thoughts? Go ahead.
Well, I'm on the Signetti bandwagon. Listen, some guys is just special. You don't know if this guy's special or not. They overlooked him in college for years. Dick Vermeil came out of college and did good. Jimmy Johnson. So you can come straight out of college. Yeah. Maybe this is a special guy. Hey, listen.
Yeah.
There's nobody in that Pittsburgh. I don't know what the Steeler way is or the Rooney way, because there's nobody in that building that ever hired a coach. Marty Schottenheimer told me one time. You never know until you've done it. Until you've done it, you never know if this guy can coach.
Yes.
And until you've done it, you don't know if this guy can hire a competent coach. So I don't have confidence that they'll be able to hire that coach. The Chiefs and Dan Rooney, they could look in your eye and tell if you have that kind of ability. Hey, listen, first sign of adversity, I love Mike Tomlin. Everybody knows I love Mike Tomlin. He's going down in my book as a quitter. He quit on Jalen Ramsey. He brought in Aaron Rodgers.
He brought all those guys in.
To play another year, another good year with Aaron Rodgers. He'd be second all time in every category to Tom Brady.
Yes.
Hayward, maybe TJ Watt don't re-sign without. Listen, every quarterback I predicted that RG3 would be a bust in the NFL, not because he didn't have the talent. It's because from the neck up, every quarterback gets booed. RG3 never got booed a day in high school, college, or on the track field. His second year, when he got booed, he couldn't handle it. He folded. Mike Tomlin, the stuff that they were doing, the fans fired Mike Tomlin 1 week. 2 weeks later, they was cheering for Mike Tomlin. The first sign of adversity, this guy folds his kit and quits on his team like Aaron Donald did.
Yeah, the one guy I remember that happened to was around like April or something, 2,000 years ago, where he went from Hosanna, Hosanna to crucify him, crucify him. And you know what? That's your fan base. I'm sorry. It's
that's
what
the fan
has
base.
he done for me lately? Now, what does he do for me 10 years ago?
Yeah, no, that's sports fans today, but it's certainly been going on in Pittsburgh. I mean, when you have 7 straight playoff losses, 5 straight blowout losses, the fan base, you can call them unreasonable, and some of them definitely are, but they don't care about the 2008 championship and being in Super Bowl in 2010. They do not care. They do not care. It's all about what have you done for me lately. And I don't think Tomlin did quit just because he got booed the one time. He's been hearing this for years, but it's part of what he's been hearing for years. I know that he hasn't felt appreciated, and that's part of it. But he also may have talked to these players before. I mean, there are definitely some that believe that it wasn't like they were all totally caught off guard. There were some that were surprised for sure, and who knows if Rodgers is tied to Tomlin, so I wouldn't expect Rodgers again. But next year, honestly, maybe they will finally be able to draft their guy. Granted, they're picking at 21, so they'd probably have to trade up to get a legit quarterback. The draft is in Pittsburgh, and it would probably behove the franchise to have a losing season. They didn't have any with Mike Tomlin, of course. That would help set them up and make it easier for them. We'll see what actually occurs. But, there have been many franchises that had to move on from legendary coaches. Look at the Eagles. They told Andy Reid to get out of town. They won 2 titles.
I was shocked that Sean McDermott got fired. I never expected Buffalo to fire him, but it was called upon.
Somebody got to get blamed when you lose and you don't reach where you want to be and you don't achieve the ultimate goal. And that's today's sports world. You don't get to be anywhere for 19 years anymore.
Leo can attest to this. They want to fire Todd Bowles down in Tampa. They keep screaming and hollering on the sports.
If it happens again next year, I wouldn't be surprised.
Guys, I got to get going. I hate.
Go ahead, Leo. Thank you.
But I'll leave you with this one thing. The big problem in Buffalo, and I got this from my inside source, was that the general manager and the head coach were butting heads. And the one thing that happened was the roster was being blamed for the losses, not the head coach. And Bean didn't like that. And he's got Pagula's ear. And
they kept letting players leave, though. They didn't want to pay for the players.
I asked my source, I said, if the only way he was keeping his job is if he won the Super Bowl, he goes, it still may have gotten him fired. That's how bad it got him.
Wow.
Guys,
you mean the friction was that bad, Leo? All right. I'll talk to you Saturday, Leo. Have a good one.
Take care, guys.
Yep. All right, Leo Haggerty from Amped Up Sports put his experience in 40 years in media in here. Mike, how long can you stay?
I was gonna say I got a couple more minutes I can hang with you.
Okay, good. All right. Smokin' Jim, anything you want to add here or anything you want to talk about right now? We'll leave it up to you.
No, give Mike the last few minutes since he got to go.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Mike. Who do you think will be the coach? Let's go. Oh, actually, I'll tell you what. I got something for you. Okay. How about we do Tomlinisms? What was your favorite Tomlinism, Mike?
Man. Yeah, I mean you get the standard is the standard. You know, my favorite probably, and that's just a cliche one. My favorite probably is that we'll leave the light on for him. When you're talking about a player that's going to get hurt, a player when you're talking about a player that is injured, and people in the media, we ask, hey, is this guy going to play? Or what's the timetable for this guy? And Tomlin doesn't really want to give the answer. Maybe he doesn't know. He always would say, well, we'll leave the light on for him. Meaning maybe he could play, maybe he won't play. We'll give him a chance to play. That's probably my favorite there, the one that comes to mind. There's hundreds of them, though.
Yeah.
And the press conferences are even going to be different. He always liked kind of messing with the media. He never really gave us all too much. It was kind of an act for him a little bit. But
Except
leave
for
the light
Brooke
on
Pryor.
for you.
Brooke Pryor used to get to him. Brooke Pryor used to really eat him alive.
That's definitely true. And she had to ask different questions coming from ESPN that kind of
hey, most of everything that quitter ever said or did. Most of everything that quitter ever said or did, he stole from somebody. That leave the light on. That was Bruce Arians when he was the interim head coach. And the guy had cancer, and he left the lights on. The whole season.
Chuck Pagano. When Chuck Pagano.
Chuck would come back. So I'm not giving the guy that 2 years left on his contract. They still owe him $50 million, and he quits.
Yeah.
We'll see also what they get for him, though, because if he does coach, now I don't think he's coaching this coming season, but say he coaches in 2 years. You mentioned the 2 years left in the contract.
Right.
They would have to get some compensation back wherever he coaches. He cannot just make a decision on his own. So what happened with Sean Payton after the Saints to the Broncos, like what happened with Sean McVay, like what happened with John Gruden 20 plus years ago that Leo remembers, they're going to quote unquote trade him to somebody. They wouldn't pick up the option. They would let him coach. And then that team's going to give them a draft pick or give them money or give them compensation of some kind. So they're going to get something. That's the difference of him stepping down versus John Harbaugh getting fired where he just walks. Harbaugh. If he waits 3 years, then that would run out. But if he wants to coach in 2027, the Steelers will get something for it. No matter what, whether it's a draft pick or whatever, they're going to get some compensation for wherever he ends up if he does coach again.
All right, real quick here, Mike, before you go, your thoughts. Kevin Stefanski, Atlanta. I heard today Robert Saleh is going to be hired at the Titans, and John Harbaugh with the Giants. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is I think Stefanski is a great hire just for the fact that he has been a quarterback guru in the past. I don't blame him for the Browns' issues with all those quarterback problems. Most of those QBs weren't good enough. I think it's a good hire, a good roster. You don't have to win more than 9 or 10 games in that division to get in. That's a pretty easy division down there in the NFC South. So I think that could potentially work out. Although I also thought that Morris maybe would come back because they had a winning streak towards the end of the year, but I think that could be okay with Stefanski. Robert Saleh, I think actually could be fine as a head coach again. I like him as a defensive coordinator even better than a head coach. He was coaching
with the Jets, Mike. I mean, come on. He was coaching with the Jets. You know how that is. Look at Aaron Glenn this year.
Right. Like you can't fully blame him for the Jets mess.
The Jets and the Browns.
Jets.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see. All of what happens with Tennessee, though, more than Saleh, is how good Cam Ward is. If Cam Ward is really good and becomes a franchise guy, and of course he's, maybe butting into that. If Cam Ward develops and becomes that guy, then Saleh can win and the Titans can win. It's also an easy division there. If Cam Ward does not develop and does not become that guy, because Saleh's a defensive coach, he's not going to make somebody better than they are. If he cannot become that guy, then they're going to have problems there. That's the only criticism is maybe they should have hired an offensive coach to help out the QB. And then as far as Harbaugh with the Giants, they needed stability. They needed a veteran mind. They needed somebody that's going to get them to a certain level of respectability at least. I like Dart there. We'll see who he brings in as his coordinators because, again, he's not really a guru or a coordinator himself. He usually delegates those duties.
Monk is still out there.
Monk, 100%.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see him there. Arthur Smith, maybe. I don't know.
And Harbaugh's kind of a borderline Hall of Fame coach himself. He's won a ring before. The only issue there is he won't be there forever because he's an older coach too. So we'll see how long that leash is. I think it kind of could be an odd fit, but that depends on how well Dart plays. A lot of this depends on the quarterback.
And Scadaboo, if he comes back from his injury, I will also throw this out there before I leave. I'm not surprised. I don't think McCarthy's getting the Steelers job. I know he kind of wanted the Tennessee job from what I've heard, but I'm not shocked that he won't even entertain any of their offers. Arizona's a bad job. The Browns is a bad job. He's not going to jump into a job that's horrible in his 60s when he's already had 2 good jobs in one thing before. So if you can't get a really good job, it's going to have to be the perfect opportunity, Mike.
It would have to be perfect in those jobs.
For him, it's not going to be exactly. Yeah,
but thanks for having me on, guys.
You're welcome, Mike. Anytime. Smokin' Jim, any last thing, anything for Mike you want to add?
Hey, I just want to leave you with my favorite Tomlinism. when they were ready to draft for Shaw Mendenhall, who had more muscles than any other running back I've seen since Caleb Johnson, who's a bust.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, Coach, I watched every game that he ever played at Illinois. He never takes the ball out of his right hand. And Coach Tomlin said, that's why we got coaches. Well, Mendenhall was a fumbler and fumbled away
Fumbled in the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Great coach.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
That's what he'll always remembered for by Steelers
my
fans.
Tomlinism was the Jets game this year, as we talked off the air. We got caught with our slip showing. I thought that was funny. And then the standard, and then also the collective. He would always say, we're the collective. The collective. And then, we got to go back in the laboratory.
Back in the lab. He was always saying, back in the lab.
He was always good for that one.
I'll definitely miss Tomlin in a way for sure. But
have a great one, Mike. Thank you so much. Thanks again for being here. Mike ASTI, Pittsburgh Sports Now. Check out his stuff. He covers the Pittsburgh Steelers, West Virginia Mountaineers football. We're going to get him back on Smokin' Jim coming up at the beginning of the college football season. I'm going to try to get somebody from West Virginia, which will be Mike. I'm going to try to get somebody from Penn State and Pitt, and we're going to have a little debate on who's going to be the best coming up this year. Smokin' Jim, your thoughts on everything they had to say, and what do you have to add?
Those guys were really, really good, man. It was excellent. And, man, a lot of knowledge. And again, other than me, I think Leo's the only guy I heard on the planet that said that they would give a phone call to Kurt Signetti. Sometimes a guy's just special. I don't care how old he is. You know what I mean? Colonel Sanders was 65 before they bought his recipe. So, hey, some guys are special no matter what the age. I would take a look at Kurt Signetti. Maybe he's the next Dick Vermeil or Jimmy Johnson, who was very successful coming out of the college ranks. But hey, man, those guys, tremendous knowledge. Here's the thing that gets me with everybody.
Right.
I respect guys. Over the years, Ralph, we've been doing this.
Yes, we have. You and I have been doing this a long time. Yes.
And people would say, when they say, hey, Mike Tomlin should be fired, what's the first thing they would say? They would say, oh, wait a minute. If he fired Tomlin, who you going to hire?
Who you going to hire? Right. Yes.
Now,
exactly.
Now that the media threw out a couple names, now everybody, Kubiak can walk down the street butt naked in the middle of Homewood. Wouldn't nobody know who he is? Chris Shula could go to the Alderdice girls basketball game, and he'd have to pay just like you and I.
Yes.
Now everybody's an expert on who the Steelers should hire. These guys never did it before. It's a lot easier, and you always say it. Some guys can bake a cake, and some guys
people can't. Right. Exactly.
Some people can't. Yeah. And you don't know, like Marty Schottenheimer said, you don't know until they've done it.
That's right. And you know what? I was always taught, Smokin' Jim, you learn by doing. All right? You learn by doing. And now this is going to be the education for Art II and Omar Khan, the numbers cruncher, and Andy Weidel. They're going to have to sit down and figure out what they're going to do here. And you know what? Remember, and this is something everybody keeps saying, Mike Tomlin was hired by Dan Rooney. He was not hired by Art II. So Art II has no clue exactly what he needs to do. Dan Rooney was the one that hired Mike Tomlin. So, I mean, and that's what everyone's been saying out there. And believe me, I've had my arguments with all these national pundits out here, a lot of them, about Mike Tomlin. Oh, I wish my team had Mike Tomlin. I wish, you guys don't know what you got in Mike Tomlin. Well, what we got is a guy who didn't win a playoff game since 2016. We got a guy who keeps on getting massacred in every damn playoff game that he's in every the first round of the playoffs. That's what we had. We had a guy who continued to bring in some of these overpriced bums that were playing for the Steelers and whatnot. And like you said earlier, he let down Jalen Ramsey, he let down Aaron Rodgers, he let down Cam Hayward, and he let down T.J. Watt. Well, of course, T.J. Watt let him down too a little bit. Alex Highsmith, he was in and out of the tub all year long. Calvin Austin. There was a lot of things that second wide receiver. You and I, George Pickens, and everybody says we're wrong on this. George Pickens should have stayed. They should have let him ride out his last year of his contract, trade him, get him out of here. You didn't have to give him an option. Then you would have been further along in the playoffs this year, would have won more games if you had George Pickens.
Sir. Yes, sir.
If you had George Pickens
sir.
with DK Metcalf to compliment, Metcalf had no one to compliment him all year long, and now the Steelers got egg on their face. And that's exactly what it was with Smokin' Jim. I came on your bandwagon on this because I took a look at this and said, this is not what's going to happen. And I don't give a crap what anyone says. You don't. Calvin Austin is a good speedy player, just like Desmond Reed. He's a good speedy player when he's healthy. Okay. All right. When he's not in the tub. Okay. Because you can't help the club if you're in the tub. All right. It's that simple. All right, Smokin' Jim, let's go.
Hey, Rev, let me just say this too.
Go ahead.
Guess who else? Not only was Art Rooney II not part of the hire of Mike Tomlin, the con man wasn't. That was Kevin Colbert.
That was Kevin Colbert. Exactly.
Yeah, so they have nobody with that experience. And this is why I say Mike McCarthy makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Then if the Steelers was in rebuild mode, they was tearing everything down. Go ahead with a young guy. Who cares who you go with? You're trying to build, but they don't want to rebuild.
No,
I mean they don't want to tear down.
No,
they think that they
they think they can win right now the Super Bowl. You got two overpaid players in Cam Hayward and T.J. Watt. It's time to take their salaries and disappear.
Here's the thing: Mike McCarthy is that guy because he's going to win with this team.
He's exactly, and they'll play for him. And they'll play for him.
He's going to have a 500 or better record.
Exactly, and they'll play for him too. Right.
The thing that he's going to do that's overlooked is he's going to put a staff together, unlike Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
That when he steps away from football, you can promote somebody off his staff to be the head coach.
The head coach.
That's
right.
the key.
Right.
That is the key. The same system, blah blah blah.
Yes.
Etc. And that's what made Mike Tomlin so good early on. He had
Bruce Arians. He had Dick LeBeau. He had Mike Munchak. Todd Haley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had Cowher's system.
Yes.
He could walk in as a young coach and just sit back and let it happen.
Yeah.
And that's what he did.
Yeah.
And that's what Mike McCarthy will do for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He'll allow a young guy to be promoted when he's ready to walk away with a good system.
Now, let me ask you this question here. If Brian Flores gets this job, and I'm going to use a hypothetical here, if he was to get this job, do you think players would play for him? Or do you? No. I think if they hire McCarthy, they could keep the veteran presence, and like you said, and then players would come and play for Mike McCarthy because they have. Okay? Yeah, exactly. They know Mike McCarthy. They don't know Chris Shula. They don't know Anthony Weaver. They don't know the janitor that works in the Steeler office. They don't know none of those people. Okay? They know guys like Mike McCarthy. You know what I mean? And I agree with you that they should bring him in as like you said, a bridge coach. And I do agree with you on that because this makes logical sense. Plus, on top of that, he would know what to do in the draft to get a quarterback. Is that quarterback right? Or is that quarterback not right? You know what I mean? Because is Chris Shula going to sit there and tell you what kind of quarterback to draft? No. Okay. Is Anthony Weaver? I don't even. I don't know what Brian Flores, you know what I mean, is about except for defense. But I mean, but I think he would be smart enough to bring in a guy who would be, But anyway, all right, Eddie checking in here. Eddie Prather, Brian Flores should be the new Steeler head coach. I do agree. Thank you, Eddie. All right. Of all the people that they're interviewing right now, other than Mike McCarthy, I think it should be Brian Flores. Smokin' Jim, real quick, this week's NFL games. Denver versus New England. Denver's going in with a backup quarterback at home. What do you think?
Man, I tell you what, I always favor the league MVP. I think the league MVP is the quarterback from New England. Hey, listen, it's hard. Bo Nix played all season long. I don't think he's been injured. I think this backup quarterback had about 2 career starts in its 7 years. I think this is a tough situation going. New England got a good defense too, man.
Yeah.
And Vrabel can coach. I just think it's going to be too much to overcome for the Denver Broncos. I like the New England Patriots here.
Yeah, I'm not a Patriots fan, but I'll take them because it's a logical thing to take. I mean, Denver's going in with a backup quarterback. We're going to find out. NFC game, Seattle, LA Rams. I'm taking Seattle in this game. They've peaked. They've done what they need to do. Now it's time to go to the Super Bowl. Mike McDonald brought in some good coaches, and he's got his team playing well. The Rams are looking good too. Sean McVay and his coaching tree. He's about to lose some assistants. So anyway, who do you see here?
What game? I'm sorry, my earbuds went down for a second.
That's all right. Seattle and the Rams. Eddie says Seattle's defense will win. So,
the 12th man is something. One thing we know, Seattle don't miss DK Metcalf.
They win. They won with they win. They're where they are without him.
Hey,
they're where they are without him.
I like the Rams. I think that extra game they had to play is starting to take it out of them a little bit. I think that Seattle finds a way to win the football game.
Yeah, here's a fact: the 2 games that Seattle and the LA Rams played this year, they both went into overtime, and they have a split win. Seattle won 1, the Rams won 1. So let's see if the rubber match what happens this week. All right, if they go into overtime or what's going to happen. It's going to be a dogfight. Most of these games have been so far. All right, Smokin' Jim, any final thoughts? We're going to wrap it up and get ready for Wrestle Talk. Oh, man, I have some stuff to tell you about Wrestle Talk. Oh, my.
Man, this was an enthusiastic show, man. Just the way I love it, man.
Yeah,
Great
exactly.
job,
thank you. And we're going to be back next week here, same time right here on the Sports Nuts Network. And don't forget to tune in all across the country and around the world. Don't forget to tune in on our YouTube and Facebook channels. Our shorts are out there. Brandon Keeler and the Sports Nuts Network, Pensman Sports, Brian Pettit, and all the folks associated with the Sports Nuts Network. We put our shorts and our material out there. Please tune into our social media platforms and like and subscribe. Until next week's Sports Corner Show, I'm Ralph Williams. Have yourself a great one, and please, by all means, be safe. Until next week, have a good one. Thank you.